Well, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be. Welcome to Zyxel's Tech Talk. My name is Tri Nguyen. I am the product manager and sales manager here in Zyxel North America. And today we get to talk about our newly released or newly announced USGFLEX H Series. I'm excited to talk about some of the features, the functions, and how you could utilize that to improve security in a growing WAN interface kind of world today. Everybody's trying to go faster and trying to keep up with those security levels in those faster speeds makes it very difficult for existing hardware to maintain the highest levels of security that you would want facing our networks today. So I wanted to, share with that. Some of you as partners already got some of the announcement information on last week. We typically let our partners, our approved partners, know about some of these new products that come out, as well as people I see on the list of attendees here who have been part of the beta. So thank you for helping us with the beta program of these firewalls. And so we will be talking more about that. Yesterday was the press release announcement that went out to the general public, and product is in some places already available online on distribution portals, et cetera, or can be pre-ordered or drop shipped from the distribution side. So it should be active for you to start ordering. If you are looking for some of this hardware in a certain distribution partner that doesn't have it yet, or maybe does not listed yet, let us know and we'll get that going, and we'll see why it's not up there yet. With this announcement and with this webinar, I also like it to be interactive. So if you'd like to use the Q&A section to ask me any questions during the webinar, I will try to get to that as we go in line. There's a lot of folks here today, so I'm going to keep things rolling, moving, but thank you for being here, and look forward to providing you some great information on this new product that I'm super excited about. So before we get ultimately started, Zyxel Networks, just some backgrounds about who we are if you are new to us. We've been in the business since 1989, so over 30 years of networking expertise, 100 million devices making connections globally. We have 700 employees in 150 different markets serving there. 1 million businesses work smarter with Zyxel solutions today. We are trusted to deliver our solutions and products to millions of people, end users, and to customers all around the world. Different brands use our products in different types of applications: hotspot, hospitality, business applications, networking, MSP applications, anything you can think of. We have some sort of partnership with some vendor or some MSP or some end user partner to delivering that. We also partner with some of the industry leaders out there for a lot of our technology and leveraging a lot of their expertise in order to deliver security applications from Webroot, Bitdefender, and then using Amazon Cloud for our Nebula platforms and delivering of those types of services. So we leverage them. We know we can't do everything on our own and do it well, so we let them do what they do well and what their company is based on, and then leverage their technologies in our partnerships with them and bringing that to the small business. So if you have any questions, any product questions, pricing, whatever it may be, work with our sales account managers there in the channel, David Chen, Andy Gudral, and Jacob Olson. We serve all of the North America areas. Depending on what state you're in, you have a dedicated rep that will help to help you with pre-sales support, technical support, post-sales support, distribution. So loop us in. You have projects that we can help you with to decide maybe what types of products you should use for these different types of applications, or which models work best for you in those kinds of scenarios. We're here to help. So definitely leverage that. And if you have any special projects, deals, we have special pricing and deal registrations to our partners as well. So take advantage of that. We are solutions driven by clients like yourself. who are in the field. We know that you are the ones who are dealing with the maintenance and with the end user and usability of that. So since we are the developers of the product, we also help you to deliver those types of solutions in that entire ecosystem. So we want your feedback and to help us to improve the product. And I think that's very important, especially in a product launch like this one. So you as partners, you are our, eyes and ears in the field. And with any new product, there could be certain applications or certain scenarios that you're using in that's maybe unique to what you're doing, or maybe it's something that's a little bit kind of outside the box, since those products are very flexible in what they can do. And so if you might encounter some sort of either bugs or maybe something that's not working the way that you think it should or it's intended to be, reach out to us. We're here to help and make sure that our products can be working in those kinds of scenarios as it should be, if that's the way that it's been developed for. So we want to work with you in getting that, especially like I said, in these early days of a new product launch. And I'll tell you why. There potentially is some differences that are there within our existing product line. It's exciting that it is a little bit different, but I think it's for the best, for the good of the product line moving forward as well. We are a comprehensive portfolio end to end. Anything that connects to a network, whether it be the firewall, like we're going to be talking about today, all the way to wireless solutions, PoE injection, power, fiber connectivity, gateway solutions with hotspot functionality, and then manage it in the cloud or on standalone mode, different ways to manage it. We have an entire end-to-end type solution for your small business or for your small business type customers, or even small enterprise type customers as well, to scale to that way. So today I wanted to talk about secure protection. It's not only do we worry about networking security today, everything with cybersecurity, being insured for cybersecurity insurance scenarios for both MSP side and also for the end user, protecting against like losses on ransomware. So that's a big issue today. And on top of that, we see a lot of ISPs who are kind of in a race of their own. They're trying to compete for your customers' dollars on which ISP, which connection to get. And the only kind of piece that they can put into it is the speed. So whoever offers the best speed at the best price usually gets those subscriptions from those customers. And so we see a lot of that push on the WAN side interface, even though there may be not too many applications yet that is going to fully utilize some of these connections. You see over a gigabit, even 2.5 gig or even 10 gig connectivity can be purchased by the business or for even an end user, or even in the home office type scenarios as well. So it makes it very affordable, but the limiting factor a lot of times is the internal network. It may not even get past a gigabit. And then and on top of that, when you're talking about security, the firewall is going to be the bottleneck. So we want to make sure that we're not only providing security and that kind of level of protection, but be able to do it at a very fast speed. So the USGFLEX H Series provides that secure and fast protection on the network interface, especially for businesses who are looking to upgrade to faster speeds. Maybe they're needing a faster internet connection because of remote work from home environments. People are using VPNs or connections from home coming in, requiring then a faster upload speed at the office space. Typically, asynchronous speeds that you have from maybe a DSL type connection or even a cable modem service connection is typically like 10 or 25 megs, yet the download speed for that office could be 500 to a gig of speed. So people are tending to move to maybe a fiber connection that's giving you the synchronous uploads and download speeds. And then that's putting some pressures but gives you opportunity as an MSP to be able to utilize and maximize those speeds. How many of you have customers who always go on when you install anything and do a speed test, right? People know about speed tests. Your general user at home uses speed test. I go to a hotel, I do a speed test. I just want to know what it is, what the technology is. Thank you for all your hand stamp, by the way. And we just want to know. And so when you are delivering or when you get a connection from the internet and somebody bought a 500 meg connection to their office, They want to do a speed test and find out, am I close to getting that what I paid for? And if it's half that speed, first thing they do is they're going to call you, or they call the ISP and say, hey, why am I getting just 250 out of 500? I'm paying for 500. The first thing they always say is, can you take out the whatever, if you have a router in there, can you remove that router and plug directly into the modem and do the test again? And that typically will then show, okay, you do have over 500 or 500 megs of speed. Then they just blame the firewall and then say, you know, that's not my problem. You talk to your MSP, talk to whoever installed that, and figure out how to fix that. So that's going to be the kind of the challenge within that. And especially when you push to multi-gig on the WAN interface and people are saying, hey, I want 2.5 gigs of speed when I'm doing my speed test, then all of the local network, all of the Wi-Fi technology that cannot push past 1 gig in terms of actual throughput is going to need to be changed in order for it to take advantage of that. And from a security perspective, it's going to be very difficult if you're just using kind of off-the-shelf kind of products out there. What the USGFLEX H Series provides is multi-core hardware and fast-pass technology, new generation technology, new generation chipsets that help to boost and optimize and protect those networks when you're trying to push a lot of traffic through. All of us know the first thing, you know, a lot of people may say is like, well, if I don't want all that security, or if I want faster speeds, we'd have to turn off some of the features so that it doesn't have to scan so much, and then it can, you know, reach those speeds. But that's like, you have this whole secure system for your home, and then you just leave everything unlocked and turn off the alarm. It makes no sense for you to do that, especially within network where there's constant polling, constant pings or detections or intrusions that are trying to be, you know, accessing your IP addresses on the internet. So we want to be able to provide the best performance and protection for those connected users using this new technology. So it offers models that have 1 gig WAN interfaces and all the way up to 2.5 and 10 gig options as well. So there are different models that will have these different interfaces, and different models that also include PoE ports. Many of you have asked for that before in the past. How can I get a couple of PoE ports that I can power up a phone, power up an access point, power up a cellular device for backup, things like that. So this is very tailor-made for that, those requests. And on top of that, they're also port flexibility. Many of you enjoy some of the kind of independently configurable ports that exist in kind of the USGFLEX 500 series and above, typically reserved on our higher end. But now the USG, even the 100 series on the H, offers you configurable ports. They do have default ports that are set in there, but you can then choose, you know, how many WANs do you want there, how many LANs, if you want a second WAN, do you want a third WAN, or if you want a third LAN, however you want to do that, you can define all of that. 2.5 and 10 gig options to future-proof those capacities. Maybe you have some servers, you might have a multi-gig connection that comes in from the internet that you're providing for that as well. And the ports are kind of software defined, like it said here. So you can use it as flexible as you want. Those integrated PoE ports are 30-watt power, 802.3AT PoE plus to feed VoIPs, cameras, Wi-Fi devices. It helps to simplify some of those deployments that you have that you just need maybe an extra access point, or maybe it's installed in a home office that just needs a, maybe another phone or a phone system that needs PoE power, or maybe even cameras, et cetera. But keep in mind, though, it's a 30-watt budget. And if it has 1 port, then that's a 30-watt budget. If it has 2 ports, we do use consumption mode. So you can load balance, or you can balance out your consumption for those 2 ports for 30 watts. So you can have something that's maybe 15 and 15 if you needed to. So usually that's going to be maybe a voice phone or a camera plus like an access point or something like that. It's probably be plenty of power to do that. Paul says, great features. Zyxel listened. It takes a while, but yes, Paul, we do try to listen. We try to implement when we can, and if the chipset allows, the hardware allows for us to do that, and also the upgrade cycles. Right, these products do have long kind of cycles in their lifetime. And so a lot of features get put into it through the life of the product, but then the hardware eventually changes. And sometimes you do have to take that next step. And this is that next step where the internet connectivity has gone, much faster. On top of that, we're offering also leading edge encryption technology using IKE v2, EAP, SSL VPN, different layers, two-factor authentication. One thing to note is with this new product, we've now been able to launch a SecU extender client that's one license that can be offered for multiple platforms. So you can download the Windows version of that SecU extender, which is the IPsec client, or you can download the IPsec client for Mac OS as well. But then now we also offer within the client and the licensing the SSL VPN capability as well. So you can use SSL with this client to connect to what we call UOS model, like the H series. So keep that in mind. The one that's built into this kind of client that's universal is going to be made to do SSL as well to a USGFLEX H series. Now, if you're using the existing USGFLEXs or any other kind of older firewalls that use SSL, you can still download the SSL VPN client. That's not this client, and use that for free, or you can purchase the Mac OS SSL client to use SSL to those USGs, those older USGs or USGFLEXs. So this one is just for the H series. The IPsec client part for the Mac and Windows, that's universal. You can still use that way of VPN to either the older technology, it's all standard IPsec, or to the newer technology of the new OS on both Windows and Mac. So encryption, two-factor authentication, again, is always important to make sure that you maintain that connectivity, especially remote workers today. The remote workplace can be simplified. We have, again, the IKE v2 protocols for L2TP and interoperable with different types of VPN clients, OS and VPN gateways. We have an easy wizard that is built into this H series system that allows for you just a few clicks, enable different OS support for VPN and different scripts that will let you to build that, including, Windows, iOS, Mac OS, and StrongSwan. I know Android has removed kind of the native support within the device. So you have to download a third party like L2TP type client like StrongSwan to do that type of VPN. The security is always important. It's always evolving. There's always new threats that are out there. So this takes the headache out of it for you to try to manage it yourself. So it constantly updates and evolves using network security from a lot of partners that get, like I mentioned earlier, who provide us with those security information, provides secure access for people who are working remotely as well, and those who are working inside. And it's working constantly to protect against the latest threats or the latest, decided threats from these expert partners that we have. So any kind of outbreaks that might be happening around the world, these signatures can be moved to the top of the list to help to protect those users and those networks that are out there from further any kind of infection that might be heading your way. And that's all done automatically with the secure licenses that are there. It's constantly checking. You can set those checks as often as it will let you, and it will always be looking for any kind of new threats to protect you. So all of that is put together, and you could be running in minutes, especially with the Nebula onboarding process. Many of you have migrated over to the Nebula platform and love the interface. And we are so happy that is the case. And we're excited to continue to provide that kind of support with all of our products moving forward, being able to have that access to Nebula. Keep in mind, though, we are starting kind of a new dynamic with how you are managing security products. Right now, in the current infrastructure, current configuration, I would say, there's kind of two ways you can manage a USGFLEX today. You can either do it in standalone mode, which has the full superset of features that firewall can support. Or you can use it as a cloud firewall, which then kind of changes its firmware per se, or changes its identity to be a Nebula cloud firewall with the security, many of the features, but it is definitely a subset, I would say, of what the standalone features like can support. But what this new H series is going to do is that from a management standpoint, you are going to be managing the product itself in a kind of like a standalone mode through the cloud. You can monitor the device. You can check for firmware upgrades, et cetera. You can manage the firewall licenses via Nebula, and then you can access the interface GUI through a Nebula secure connection. You can do the backup, restore, firewall configuration. So in a sense, it feels like you're doing a standalone mode for the device. The reason for this is that in the future, basically in about a year from now, that mirrored interface of the interface on the standalone device is going to be mirrored into Nebula. So the benefit of this is that there will be no longer a need on the H series, whether you choose standalone or you choose the cloud Nebula to manage it, the configuration is the same. And in fact, it's just, that's how you configure it. You can either choose to do it from the Nebula interface that has the mapped GUI interface from it, or you do it through a tunneled connection directly to the device. So there's no conversion. There's no longer this headache where you might have a customer who's on standalone mode and they want to go to cloud. And in order for you to do that, you have to kind of rebuild the configuration into the cloud. Anthony asked, will this allow for any kind of HA or active passive setup of multiple firewalls per site? Well, I'll have to check into that. Right now, the H series does not yet support device HA, but that is definitely something that we will definitely look at because it's now kind of universalized. It's not necessarily being converted or anything like that. So it may allow for you to set up multiple firewalls per site there for HA. We'll have to check on that. Typically though, in our HA implementation that we have today, it's only, an active passive, just 2 devices in that regard. So when you say multiple, I don't know if you mean, 3 or 4 or maybe more than that, but our device HAs typically will do that. So for now, until HA is fully supported, probably by the April timeframe, there may not be, that kind of support yet for HA. But we can be, right now the USGFLEXs and the ATPs have this centralized management mode via Nebula already. So some of you who like the standalone mode functionality are already using this feature today, where it is configured as a standalone device, but the Nebula hooks there allow for you to manage it, still do the firewall, the firmware updates, scheduling, the backup, restore, the configurations. And then when you want to configure the device, you drill into it through Nebula, creates a secure connection to that interface so that you can configure it. And what you'll notice too is in the H series is that the interface is redesigned and it will look and feel as if you just went to the menu system in Nebula. So from a user ability standpoint, it will make no difference really if you were configuring the device via a standalone or in the future via the cloud web interface. In fact, we have to decide if we even really need to do that, because ultimately, however you choose to manage, it is going to be manageable both ways. So that's kind of the universalization that we're moving forward with this. So any future firewalls that we do make or release in the future will have the same kind of implementation with this new OS. And all of our security products are then powered by AI, just like everything else today. The cloud cybersecurity interface and the partnership that we have, it continually and constantly evolves against all the changing threats that are happening out there. So one malicious, sandboxed, file across the world is found, and then it is then delivered automatically to the sandbox. The sandbox can then create these threat signatures that are then passed on to any of the devices that are out there. Now, if you have product that's using the gold licensing that allows for you to do maybe stream scanning plus cloud scanning as well, then the cloud scan can happen, can deliver maybe a faster a faster reaction time to threats that are out there, because it's now using the cloud and the hash keys that are available within the cloud to determine if a certain file is a threat or not. And so if that AI is updating that cloud system, and there is some time that that cloud system takes before it becomes a signature that then goes into your firewall as a stream, signature, there's a lag time there. The cloud signature obviously is a lot quicker. So being able to block that as well. So, the hybrid mode is available there for those devices that use the gold pack, including the H series here. And so it can leverage that AI cloud intelligence and then be able to protect, malware, DNS, IP reputation, filtering stuff, IPS, application patrol, anything like that, that maybe is constantly changing. Maybe right now, all of a sudden, a new DNS has been taken over. We can get that notification, we can get that information, and then based on that information, be able to protect users fairly quickly to not allowing them to use those DNSs or be able to go to those sites. So I mentioned a lot of technology goes into these firewalls, and we are empowered by some of the best-in-class security experts out there. Sandboxing, helped by the Norton LifeLock, web filtering, Trellix, IPS, Athena Cloud, anti-malware, antivirus, Bitdefender, and Trellix, cloud email security by Siren. Our cloud services, especially with Nebula and some other functionalities for VPN, is through Amazon Web Services. GeoEnforcer with MaxMine, device identification, Akami, IP reputation with WebRoot, and App Patrol with QoS Moss. So there's a lot of different entities and a lot of experts that are out there that provide these technology solutions that we've basically empowered into these networking devices to provide a complete holistic solution. You can pick and choose. You may have your own security policy and profiles that, or maybe different levels of policy control, or maybe even services that you're offering your customers. We allow for you to pick and choose how you want to deliver these kinds of services to your customers. And some of our partners have a entry level tier where there's minimal security, but then they have this upper tier that gives them full security. Obviously, there's different levels of management. There's different levels of effort from the MSP side, from the monitoring, from the remediation, from the reaction, and constant scanning, pen testing, and there's maybe that cybersecurity component that comes in there as well. So there's a lot of those factors that come into play, but we try to provide you with, at least the network core solutions and the tools that you may need in order to facilitate that kind of security, those security policies that you're offering to your customers. And I'm telling you today, right now, it's a big, you're probably seeing it a lot, in marketing, et cetera, or maybe at a lot of the trade shows you may be going to with cybersecurity insurance, because it's kind of an open field out there, in a sense that people can be held liable for things depending on what state you may live in. There's a lot of, litigation and laws that are kind of, it's new in the industry today. And so it's, I always consider it something like almost like a doctor's malpractice insurance for the MSP, because in some cases, we've seen already examples of lawsuits that have come out that the MSP or the person who did the install of the product was held liable because they didn't do kind of their due process, or they didn't protect to the best of their ability as they said they should have or would have. And that caused disruption in the work, or caused maybe some outages, or maybe the business even going out of business because of some of those factors that are happening. So not only yourself to be insured, but also to protect your end users and your customers as well from loss of business during those outages, et cetera. So definitely something to take a look at and kind of start to educate yourself and finding those partnerships. We are working with some partnerships as well to deliver complete solutions where it's not only the firewall solution and the network security side, but then also the remediation, the whole plan of action, the whole process, kind of the RMM tools, the socks that are tied in for the notifications, the alerts, the alarms, all of that being integrated into a complete solution that then can be delivered to a customer. So a lot of that is great out there. It's moving towards getting people educated on security, which then gives, again, you opportunity for moving to these kinds of security devices. And that, I think, really the USGFLEX with Gold package is great. Once you need higher WAN speeds, and people are getting above 500 megs of internet connectivity, then the H series, I think, is going to be your best bang for your buck, type scenario. Can give you that full level of security plus the speeds that you need to maintain those. And it's because of our fast and powerful UOS that we've designed into this new firewall. And this is probably the OS that's going to be moving forward in any of our future firewall products as well. But it allows for us, we've optimized it really well because it was designed from kind of the ground up too, that it's designed to increase security, minimize system response times. It helps to apply configuration changes instantly, optimizes the configuration and security policy management across the board, across the UI, different UIs. And what it's going to do too is it's going to allow for us to make it easy for you to choose and convert configuration per se from any level device. So whether you're starting with a lower end device and maybe in the future you want to move to a higher end device, there's no need to reconfigure everything in there. So the conversions between the models will be a lot simpler. Greg asks, with the new OS being designed more closely to match Nebula, will we be missing some features, subsets of features of the firewall, such as virtual sub interfaces, interface connectivity, policy routing, SNAT, DNH reservations, etc. So there may be some applications or maybe some features right now that is not yet supported, but the goal is that it's going to be supported. So I know Nebula did have a subset because it was delivered, it was kind of redesigned as a firewall. So we took an existing firewall and we tried to make it fit into Nebula. With this new OS, it's built as a firewall, but manageable in Nebula. So there's a little fundamental difference there. It's like a customized Linux from previous systems. In a sense, it is. There are some Linux packages that are in there. So it's still Linux-based, is my understanding, but it's optimized in a way, again, built from the sense that it is made for a lot of these advanced features to optimize it for the speed. In order to achieve some of that, you have to do not only the hardware changes, but then software-wise has to also change from an architecture standpoint. And so the previous, Zynos, the ZLD interface for software for the firewalls, there were some limiting factors within itself that didn't allow for it to get to this kind of universal configuration. So this, again, will allow for us to move into that area and move into that where we wanted it to be kind of in the first place. But there are baby steps and changes and generational changes, and this is one of them. So the user interface itself will look more like Nebula, but I would say the feature set functionality will still function more like a standalone USGFLEX, if that makes sense. So again, we're fundamentally building a new product that's different from the way that we currently doing it. We're not trying to fit an existing product into a Nebula platform. We're building a platform that is manageable in Nebula. So it should be the full-featured, and of course, more so full-featured in the future as well with this new architecture. So that data plane dev kit, much better performance because of that fast acceleration with that DPDK architecture. We're migrating from that different hardware platform. So now it's easier compared to the previous versions. So migrating between different hardware platforms within using this UOS will be easier as well. There's graphical enhancements for monitoring statistics, interfaces that wizards, navigation, keyword searches, et cetera, that it's going to help for you to utilize this better. And like you see here on this interface, it looks more like a Nebula kind of feel. So that's why drilling into the device and managing it won't feel different in terms of am I leaving Nebula, right? It will actually feel like you're still within that Nebula platform, and it's optimized in that configuration. And that configuration will later support conversions between both a on-prem type deployment or manageable on cloud. It's going to also improve boot up time, especially even when you have complex configurations, rules, etc. And it has enhanced security and device identification, including secure boot implementations. So it prevents illegitimate firmware tampering on these devices as well. Some other US platform highlights that are available as well today on this product is that there's enhanced system dashboards, gives you insights, activities that's happening on the network environment, intuitive graphical indicators to help you identify the threats, maybe what applications are being used, what websites people are going to, all of that. Now, because we design the products and we design these interfaces as well, if you find something that you think is going to be necessary or very useful to you, that maybe everybody could be, benefit from in this ecosystem, please let us know. We come up with a lot of these designs and examples, either from experience or from, what we can think of, or maybe from our partner feedback. But our partner feedback probably is the most, I think, most useful because you are telling us what you need to function or to better use this product. And so we want to enhance that. And so because we design it, let us know, we make it happen, if we can. If it's not supported in the product at all, or some sort of weird implementation, then we can't necessarily do it. There's intuitive monitoring on the interface, and you can view all the top threats. You can also redesign or maybe like move some of the maybe the dashboards around as well to provide the pertinent information. It can give you all that summarized. There's a slide out window that also, again, helps you give information about the CPU management, performance, real-time data, historical data as well. Matthew also asked, will the new OS get backported to the current Flex ATP series? And the answer is no. This is going to be the product OS for just moving in the future. The Flex and the ATP will still kind of be on its current path today. But any new products, if they happen to have a new USGFLEX baseline model, not the H series, a new Flex series, maybe like a Flex V2 or something like that, then possibly. We don't know for sure. It's still within the life cycle of this product, and we don't foresee in the near future a change in the USGFLEX platform at the moment. But I hold the right to pull that back if the chipset vendor decides to end EOL out of the blue the chips that we use for those products. Doug said, I got the H beta, didn't get a chance to try it out. The link did not work, so I installed the 110. Now I have no network connection, set to restore. Doug, send me an email. I will get you with our support, and Marcus, our system engineer, who had kind of a similar scenario in his device, but he was able to overcome it by doing a few steps on the CLI side. So to get it to move basically over to the standard firmware today. So send me an email so I get you in touch with our SE Marcus, who's been working on the H series for us over here. Some other highlights, again, simplified keyword searches, simplified VPN connectivity, being able to create tunnels in a wizard mode makes it easy to create those site-to-site VPN tunnels. More enhanced dashboards with breadcrumb navigation now. You can add a my favorite function type thing so that you can add those pages that you use constantly, and so you can get to those pages more quickly. Again, just to try to help you enhance what you do, and everybody does things differently or uses pages differently. So we want to make sure that you can get to those as fast as possible. So connecting in Office is basic there. It provides superior throughput. When you're using a USGFLEX 700, it has a 15 gig SPI throughput and also a 4 gig UTM throughput. So more than enough for you to do UTM on a multi-gig connection if you needed to. It also comes with 10 gig copper and 10 gig SFP as well. So in case you just need to make those connections to other servers, or maybe on the local side, you're doing 10 gig. You might not have a 10 gig connection. That's the only thing, is if you want a 10 gig connection from an internet provider, you're going to have to think about, well, how much security or what segments of your network you're going to use that for security, which maybe operates at a lower throughput because of the 4 gig throughput of the UTM security. But maybe you might have servers that are protected from other things that can then fully maximize 10 gig to the WAN. Or maybe that's just what we use to connect to a VPN connection to the Amazon cloud, which then all of the maybe the services that are going through that don't need to be scanned because they're scanned within the cloud side itself. So there's different applications, things you can utilize to make sure you can maximize your connection there. And the PoE ports also, again, reduces some complexity, like if you're trying to deploy an access point like our WAX 630S. Now, keep in mind, we do have access points that need or require like a 5 gig port with over 30 watts of power, so like 33 watts. So be careful. Some of our highest N6E type or WAX 650Ss, they require a higher power consumption, and also they have a 5 gig port support. So you could only use it technically in a, maybe up to a 10 gig port in the USGFLEXs here. But the PoE portion of it is not going to be enough to fully power it. It's going to light up the device. The AP is going to turn on, but one of the radios is probably going to be turned off. So it's going to be functioning in a degraded mode, and it will still work and still work really well, but it's going to be limited in that factor. So keep that in mind when you're deploying. See if I have another question. Aubrey has asked, is there an offline version of the dashboard available? I guess for what purpose of that dashboard? Is it just for like educational purposes? Or is it for reference, or what it is? Usually a lot of our partners in either to have a device in their NOC, that even like our tech support today, we even have like a device that sits there that they log into, so they get that interface. Now, once it's in Nebula, then you'll be able to access that interface from Nebula, as long as you have a device within that org, or maybe as a sample organization that you might use to help troubleshoot or configure, or obviously for your customer there. Otherwise, there's no specific offline configuration there. Oops, I think I just. So on the ultimate side, there's a lot of products that can help to build that VPN tunnel using our H series. So not only does it have faster SPI, but it also has very fast VPN connectivity as well. USG 700H is our top line there. The 500Hs, 500H and the 700H have PoE in them. But then in the 200 series, we have a 200H model and a 200HP model. So the H is just the device. The HP has those PoE ports enabled, and the USGFLEX 200 has one PoE port there. I think it's supposed to have 2, but I will double check. It looks like the picture shows 2. And then on the USGFLEX, there's a H and H plus, and there's HP as well, and that's those are gigabit ports there. We'll go to the data sheet and I'll probably give you a clearer picture of that. But any kind of VPN connectivity, again, site to site, it's used for that ultra high performance, multi-gig and PoE plus, and port flexibility on your configurations, centralized management via the platform, and enhanced security, all in one VPN extender security powered by those partners today. So let's go into the data sheets. Aubrey mentioned is there offline version of the dashboard available for configuration and deployment multi-location? I would say the configuration, you would have a device from a multi-location deployment, you would configure one of the devices, and because it has the configuration, restore, and backup functionality, you can use the configuration file to then deploy or restore to multiple locations and then make those configurations. Once it gets into that Nebula Cloud side, then you'll be able to do kind of a pre-configuration before it's deployed. But right now you'll have to treat the H series like a standalone device where you couldn't necessarily auto provision it from the beginning. You would have to kind of pre-configure it before you send out to your customers, or configure it while it's on site, or load the configuration from an existing unit to that new customer deployment site. Maybe you have a default template you might create in the process and use that as your template to push it to the new ones. Martin asks, do you have a security product matrix available with the new H series? So we will definitely get that to you. The comparison matrix, I have to get that finished and worked on, but definitely send me an email so I have that in my list of things to do. Michael asks, is there a particular specification for SSL inspection throughput? There is on the data sheet, I believe. I need to double check that. In general, it's usually pretty bad, I would say, SSL inspection, just because it's doing, on the certificate side, and it's using the browser kind of, it kind of depends on the computer as well that's doing the inspection or doing the encryption side and decryption. So it can also affect that. I will check with our R&D to see what they have on kind of the test scenarios there for SSL inspection. SSL inspection does provide, more security, but it also has kind of the negative side where you have to load the different certificates onto all the different devices that need to be inspected. And in today's environment, a lot of businesses offer, people to bring their phones or their tablets, et cetera, to connect to a guest network. Maybe that's not being SSL inspected, but then your IT would have to then manage all of the local devices to have the certificates, et cetera, to do the SSL inspection on top of that. But here's the kind of the breakdowns here. SPI firewall, UTM throughputs. So the USGFLEX 100, I would say, is going to be great for people that have up to 500 megs of a WAN interface there. It has one PoE port. So sorry, the picture was wrong on the previous one there. On the USGFLEX H 200H, it's also a single PoE port, but then it can offer UTM throughputs of 1.5 gigs. So that could get up to probably really close to 1 gig of UTM throughput on that device. And so from a cost perspective, you're going to see it's going to be very cost effective. It's only going to be about, I think the current pricing is about 15 or 20% higher than the USGFLEX series right now. So you'll be able to see that. So only for probably like $100 difference or a couple $100 difference, you'll be able to have that gigabit throughput on the USGFLEX 200H. Now, of course, if customers are needing even faster speeds, even higher than a gig, like over a gig potentially, the 500H offers a lot of that, with also 4 2.5 gig ports, 2 of them being capable of PoE. And then our flagship USGFLEX 700 that is capable of up to 15 gigs of SPI throughput. Now, obviously, it's not 15 gigs on a single port. It's the overall throughput across multiple ports and multiple sessions that are happening as well. So just keep that in mind when you're checking that out and you're doing any kind of, if you might have some packet creation tools, et cetera, that's forcing a lot of traffic and you're trying to break the device. These are doing kind of the standard tests out there that pushes it through multiple sessions, multiple ports all at once, using the largest size packets. So that's why I usually have a number. When you look at these UTM numbers, or you're looking at these data sheet numbers, that you take maybe 50 to 60% of that number to get your kind of real world throughput that you would see for different types of packet sizes. Now, again, it depends on your application and what you're doing it, what you're using it for, or how you're even testing it. That can change what these throughputs will show you or give you on your test. But that's kind of the industry standard today. The cool thing too, the other thing to note is on the USGFLEX H's, both the H100s and the 200s, those are also fanless as well. So quiet operations there. The 500s and above, they're a lot more powerful and have, the need for more power, more more heat is going to be involved there. So there's some fans there. And typically though, those size, if you're moving to that kind of device, it's going to be rack mounted. It's going to be in your server closet or, some server rack in the business for that anyways. So that shouldn't be a big deal. These are some more of the detailed specs there with the configurable ports. Like I mentioned, all the physical ports are configurable within all the devices. You just get different types of ports as you move up. The sessions are also very large as well. You can see the H series on 100, it's 300,000 sessions. UTM concurrent sessions, 200,000, all the way up, moving it to the 700 H's you see is the 2 million concurrent sessions with 1.6 million UTM concurrent sessions. So when you're doing scanning, et cetera. So the housing type is kind of interesting that they put those numbers, but it's like those kinds of sizes. If you were using the older USGs in the past, but those are your details there. VPN throughput on the high end there is 3 gig VPN for the 700H if you're doing a lot of VPN connectivity. And then some of the main differences between our models are USGFLEX 650 when you're using USGFLEX bundled, that's in their current side. And then when you're using the USGFLEX with the gold package or the ATP, that's in the ultimate series. That gives you all that sandboxing, IP reputation filter, DNS filtering. Let me see, let me get my laser pointer out here. You get this extra sandboxing, IP reputation filtering, DNS reputation. And then on the USGFLEX H is going to be similar to the USGFLEX with the gold. It comes bundled with gold when you buy the bundled license. Now, keep in mind, these are the features that is different from what the current USGFLEXs are. These are going to be released in a future release. Some of these are coming out in April in a future firmware upgrade. So out of the box right now on this initial launch, there's going to in the future, it's going to support that central management via Nebula. So that whole GUI interface. Right now, it's drilling in and tunneling into the device directly itself. The two-factor authentication for login and for VPN, it's going to be supported soon. IP security profile syncing, that's basically when you're syncing it between maybe different devices or different organizations, because again, it's not being managed fully on the Nebula side. So some of those cloud side functionalities don't exist yet for this product. Collaborative detection and response in the secure Wi-Fi part. So being able to, if you deployed an AP within the Nebula platform, the device, the security product being able to tell the AP to block a certain user because of a malware threat. Again, that's going to be in a future enhancement. The current USGFLEXs do that today with that secure Wi-Fi functionality. Also, some of you may be using the secure Wi-Fi for the remote AP deployment. Again, because it's not fully implemented into Nebula, it doesn't have kind of the control that it has to be able to manage those kinds of integrations to coordinate with an AP to make that remote AP connection and build that tunnel from an AP to the USG. So that feature is available later on in the future there as well. But everything else that you see, there's no HA that's available in this device yet as well. That's not listed here. So device HA is going to be added in the future. So these are kind of the licenses that are going to be available or feature functions that are the main differences there. From a licensing standpoint, again, because secure Wi-Fi doesn't exist yet, that's going to be available in the license. So if you already are you're already buying the gold security pack, it will be in there, but the feature doesn't exist yet. But once it does become existent, then your bundled pack already will just enable that. So it also should come with the Nebula Pro pack as well in the gold. And you can then buy extra licenses. Let's say if you didn't buy the bundle before, you can buy the Plus pack and the Nebula Pro pack to managing within your organizations there. We don't offer kind of a non-gold. It's kind of like similar to what we had with the ATPs. But with the USGFLEX H's, you can buy a hardware-only version where it has no license security turned on or no licenses for security. that you can then buy certain ones a la carte, or you can then buy the bundled version, which comes with 1 year of this gold security pack. And again, once those other features get added to it, then those are also then included within this feature set of that. But from a security standpoint level, though, it's going to provide you that sandboxing, IP reputation filtering, web filtering, malware protection, IPS, application patrol, Secu Reporter access, and Nebula Pro right now. So everything you're used to in a kind of a USGFLEX side, it's going to be available here within that gold pack today. So we work through the partner program. We work with distribution to providing discounts. We did talk to a partner yesterday who said, hey, one of my distributors, it seems like their price is high. It's like 10% higher than somebody else. That typically tells me that maybe their partner account or the partner program for them is not loaded correctly, or maybe it's not there at that particular distributor. So reach out to us, let us know so that we can get that fixed. And so I think, we found that, they weren't listed on that particular or in that particular distributor to be part of the partner program. So that's why they didn't see their discounts. But you should be able to see through through those sites, through D&H, Ingram, Cynix, Wave, Target, and Pace. You should be able to see your pricing at a discount. And Amazon pricing, or what you see on our price list called street pricing, that's what we hold as street pricing on Amazon, is what it's kind of based off of. So you should be able to get your partner discount pricing. You should be able to make that margin by selling it at that street price. So if you're not seeing that, again, reach out to us. It could also mean that there are certain products that we have that are more tailored for like the online kind of e-tail, retail, the lower end type products. Those typically don't have partner discounts. So you'll probably see your pricing is probably close to the street price, buying it through distribution, because we want you to be able to add value to what you install. So those are those business class products. Those are the USGFLEX H's. Those are our mid-tier and higher end switches and access points. Those things that you have to configure, put into Nebula, use it as your MSP application solution. Those are the ones that you're going to get the discounts on. And if you're not a partner already, please reach out to us as well. It's free to join. There's no commitment per se. There's only what you do in business. And so if you're loyal to Zyxel, you sell Zyxel, you can maintain these fairly easily. We have some partners who maintain their gold status just by their renewals from their security products that they have out in the field. So every year they do enough business in just the renewals of those to maintain their gold licensing, their gold tier. So that gives you the max discounts. It gives you access to a lot of different things, but all of you still have access to our pre-sales, systems engineers, et cetera, to make sure that we get the right products into your customers' hands and to fulfill those applications. We don't want you to just go in and throw something in there if you're new at it and then find out that it's kind of underpowered, or maybe there's some things that maybe we didn't realize or didn't know about that we could have fixed, or maybe offered a better product. So definitely talk to us if you're unsure. But I know a lot of you who are here today, you guys are seasoned. You guys know exactly what to put in, or you've standardized on some of the top tier products. There gives you less headache. You never have to worry about it, and you have your customers are super satisfied with that. So thank you for that partnership, and thank you for that. Working with us with that. So if you'd like to connect with us, find out more about latest promos, have conversation, interact with us on LinkedIn, it's Zyxel-US-channel, or you can just search also for Zyxel TRI, and you'll find me. You can also link up with me as well, or you can check out our YouTube, which has these recordings, has other recordings as well, at Zyxel America channel. There's also another Zyxel channel that's out there on YouTube that has a lot of really good information on, short videos on different applications, different functions. And so there'll be some more enhancement videos related to the H series that's going to go up there as well. But if you're wanting to learn more about, secure Wi-Fi and how to implement that, there's videos like that on the channels as well. So definitely look for that. and connect with us. We probably have 2 minutes if you have any other questions right now that I didn't get to. Thank you, Paul. It's always fun to talk to you as well. Let's see, AG says, how about config files from older models? Can we convert to H models? Currently, not yet. We can convert. They're working on a conversion tool that will allow for you to go from a USGFLEX to a USGFLEX H model. But again, it may be similar to other conversion tools where there's some limitations. If your product is deployed as really complex kind of scenarios or complex firewall rules, it may not translate, the same, but we'll have to wait and see on what level of conversion that's going to be allowed. And that's going to come out in, I think, the April timeframe when there's going to be that that's out there. Martin says, good. A promising start of the new line. Thank you, Martin. Greg asks, are the new config files human readable and editable? I believe so. Most of our config files in general are plain text except for the password. But I know in recent times, like there's been a move towards, those configuration files not being able to be editable or readable. So I have to check. I've never looked at it yet on the configuration file, but I will check with our SC to have him export the config file and see what happens. It's a funny, Michael asked the same thing as you, Greg, the same questions. Will the configuration files be human readable and editable? Paul says universal conversion tool would be nice, and definitely it would be that. That's a huge thing for us, Greg. I'll keep that in mind. I think so. I don't think they would have changed that if the current USGFLEXs still support that today. So it may be. That would be my hope, because that would be easier for you to just have a template, go in, be able to make some maybe WAN changes, and then upload it to another device and be good to go. All right. If no other questions, if you have something now, since we passed our hour, please send me an email if you have any questions on this product or on this webinar. It's tri@zyxel.com. Thank you for being here. Thank you for spending that time, giving me the extra minute or so of your afternoon and day to be joining me here today on this new USGFLEX. So we look forward to that. We have lots of stock within our warehouse. So again, if you don't see that available in your distribution side, reach out to us. We can get those drop shipped to you if necessary through distribution and getting these into your hands. But again, please, when you install it, keep open-eyed, open mind, etc. That if you do encounter something weird, please help us. Please work with us so that we can help you to fixing anything that comes up as quickly as possible. And of course, thank you for your patience in that as well. And hopefully, we can continue to grow this product and this OS and making it as stable and as manageable and as powerful as it can be. So definitely your help will be much appreciated. I again appreciate your time and afternoon, and hope to talk to you again at another Tech Talk. Again, my name is Tri, and have a good rest of your day and your week.